Hello and welcome to the B-Bun episode 49! I'm your host Baron Marf and I'm joined as always by my compadre in arms, the one and only Angry Link. How you doing, buddy?
Getting there, yeah. Exciting times.
Yeah, I mean, manic gaming week. Lots going on. I mean, just give everybody a little bit of a flavour. We're mixing it up. We're changing it up this week. We're going to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, well, there is a big old elephant in the room, really.
There is.
With this week's release of the Switch.
Yep, so managed to get hold of a Switch, managed to get hold of Breath of the Wild. So we're going to do a little deep dive, or maybe first impressions rather than a deep dive. I suppose
it's more of a little paddle in a toe in the water.
Yeah, just a little stroll through the world of the Switch and Zelda Breath of the Wild. But before we do that, it's been difficult because we were like, should we do something else? What should we do this week? We decided to go for the Switch and Zelda, but there's just been some big news that you can't ignore. You've got to just give it a shout.
There's been some sort of attempted stealings of thunder.
They love it, don't they?
They do.
Well, they love to piss on other people's fires.
It's one of those, isn't it? You've got to ride the coattails. The comet that is a new release of a console, and there's always the old tale of...
Don't buy that, buy this.
Yeah. So obviously, to go quickly highlight some really good news for me, obviously we talked about it previously in a few podcasts ago, I can't remember which one now, but Shenmue 1 and 2 HD remasters are looking more and more likely to be being released. Reportedly coming to PC, no other platforms, but they're supposedly almost done, which then obviously then leads me, I think I said it at the time when we were talking about it before with the domain registers, that this doesn't give me hope for seeing Shenmue 3 this year. So I'm thinking it's the Drake's collection scenario where it's just like,
this should keep you going.
We're releasing Drake's collection. It's going to be out this October, and then everyone's like, yeah, but Uncharted 4's supposed to be out at like November, so it's gonna like, you're gonna have time to play it. Oh, by the way,
no, you want Drake's collection.
Yeah, that's it. So it might be one of those scenarios. Another big drop for a game announcement. Target leaked the news, obviously promotional items and whatnot. Shadow of Mordor has a sequel. Middle-earth Shadow War has been announced.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people love this game. I'm a great fan of this game. There's nothing more satisfying than wading your way through the pack. Yeah,
so they've expanded the Nemesis system, so it's more whole entire areas now get affected by your actions and whatnot. Not a great deal of information at it now. It's being released in August the 22nd, and
it's not too far away.
No. Obviously, it's available for pre-order on the stores. I'd imagine Steam store as well. I've only seen it on the PlayStation store. But there's gameplay for that coming the 8th of March, so only a few days away to see some more of that.
Cool.
And then we move finally to Microsoft. A couple of big announcements that kind of slipped under the radar. The Xbox Game Pass, which is their, I suppose, competitor to PlayStation Now.
Yeah, that's right.
They've announced details for that. That's going to be coming this spring.
So basically, it's your games on demand service from Xbox.
Yeah. So obviously, they're moving away from like the next Netflix-style streaming option.
Thank God.
And then moving into, you can just download and you'll have these things available. Obviously, the minute that you stop your subscription to the Game Pass, obviously you won't have access to them, which is not a surprise.
So is that their way of basically giving you access to decent or semi-decent games that they don't include in Gold?
Yeah, basically.
Right.
I mean, they sort of saying it's going to be a list of over 100 titles, but they're obviously refreshing them. There'll be the 360 Xbox backwards compatibility ones as well.
Yeah, of course it will.
So yeah, they're also from Microsoft though. They have announced that they are bringing their mixed reality tech to Xbox One and Project Scorpio next year. Just
for the avoidance of doubt, mixed reality tech being like augmented reality?
Yeah, augmented and virtual reality. So I don't know how that's going to work. Obviously, you can just cameras, you can do a pass through and all of that. But yeah, so that's going to be coming.
Interesting.
Not a lot of details. It was just an announcement. I think it was at the GDC conference for that. But there's going to be more news on that in May when they've got their bigger Microsoft special announcement conference thing.
Cool.
So yeah, that's
exciting times.
There's been absolutely loads this week, and that was pretty much the ones that I had to try and condense to. But it's been a busy week.
Yeah, just get out there, have a nose, folks. But do you know what? Fuck that news, because we're not here for that news. We're here for something else. We're here for a bit of Switch action.
Yes.
Bit of Zelda.
Yes.
So, I've been playing with the Switch for 2-3 days now.
Yeah.
You've had first impressions for about half an hour today. Just a little quick hands-on.
Literally a dipping of a pinky.
Yeah.
In there.
And when we talk about hands-on, what did you think?
Well, first thoughts. It's Diddy.
It's small.
Once you get it into hands, I've not exactly got some like Andre the Giant-esque hands, but even it sort of makes you feel like, wow, this is what large people must feel like with normal things.
It's considerably smaller than the Wii U tablet.
Yeah, which is a good thing, because obviously to play up on the portability. But the Joy-Cons, whilst they are tiny, it's not uncomfortable. I did find that. But again, it was sort of 5 minutes just having a little play about and not really having a session with it. So it's difficult to really gauge from that. The UI, first impressions on that, it was good. It was fairly bog standard, simple but clean and slick.
Yeah, I think all in all, first impressions, it's pretty good. I think when you first pick it up, you're like, yeah, that's not bad. It keeps me warm. When I looked at it, I was like, okay, that wasn't just a load of money at nothing. What about things like screen size? Where are you with this? Is this big enough for you? Is it?
Yeah. We had a little sort of go where when we just took the Joy-Cons out. Sorry to quickly go back, but I did enjoy when you're holding the two Joy-Cons separately.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yeah.
I think that will be a more enjoyable sort of when you're doing it in tabletop mode. But yeah, I know I didn't find it too bad. I'd imagine some games that it might be a problem. But yeah, obviously the quick sort of blast on Zelda.
Yeah,
it was sat there.
I think it works reasonably well actually. I was quite impressed because I was really expecting them. Bearing in mind it's a touchscreen as well. I expected Nintendo to go a really really cheap route with it.
Well, the Wii U's gamepad screen was. I always found the colours really washed out on it, and there was no saturation or richness.
No definition, really low resolution. It was not a pretty device, but this really gives you that sort of like high-end, more kind of feel when you're looking at it. And I was impressed by that because usually, they wallop some ridiculous bezel on it, and bezel is there. It's definitely present, but it's not too intimidating.
No, it's not like you say, it's not this massive frame. Like you say, I do like it is just sort of quite a discreet framing, so
it's very letterbox, isn't it? Very 1690 16 by 9. When it comes down to actually handling the thing, and let's say when you've got your Joy-Cons attached to the edge of the screen, it felt quite right for me. Like the analogues, they're quite precise.
It feels good in hand. I think with the screen size for what it was, I think it works quite well, because I think you'd need that. You need that little bezel when it's locked in, because essentially if you got proper big sausage fingers, like me, your thumbs are going to sort of impede on the screen. So I think they've kind of got that right amount with that, so it's a good separation between the screen. And I like it. That it's quite wide from that. It could be quite uncomfortable when you're playing it over a number of hours. But I think that's a point. It's then you've got the adaptability to go, well, I'll take the Joy-Cons out, flick it on the stand in front of me, and then just have them loosey-goosey.
It won't ever happen. The battery won't last.
Well, yeah.
But I've found it generally so you've got your two shoulder buttons on either side, so your left and Z at left, and vice versa for right. You've got your 4 buttons on each Joy-Con, on the front-facing ones, and then you've got your analogues. And when you're using them both together, attached to the screen. I'm happy with that. That's pretty good, I find the buttons really sharp. They seem to be spot on. They are trying to use the left buttons like a D-pad sometimes, and I don't mean exactly as a D-pad, but the selection choice that you usually do.
I mean, to be fair,
reaching a little bit.
But most of the games that you play, you're not really using it other than a 4-direction.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just think you use. For me, my D-pad is like my go-to. Like, okay, enough fanning around. Give me the D-pad so I can get on with this. You know? So there was an element of that, but I think you're right. There's been no instances so far where I've been trying to do like a fireball with it or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh god. Yeah. There is no Street Fighter in on them.
But there is going to be Street Fighter. But anyway, we digress a little bit. But also ergonomically, it wasn't, like you said, it's not particularly uncomfortable. Where you actually the grip on things, you don't find any. It's very thin. The whole device is super thin, super light. Just
about around 1 centimetre or 10 mil thick, isn't it? Something like that.
There's some huge fans in it. Huge.
But that's a good thing, though. Yeah. I'd rather have a fan there that's not needed. I mean, you can go and you can talk about the Xbox One.
People bitched and moaned about it, but I love the fact it's got that whopping great big fan.
Yeah, because how many people bitched and moaned, and it cost Microsoft billions of dollars because they thought we'll scrimp on sort of $5 worth of fan, and it ruined the console. So it's a good thing.
Circulation, without a doubt. Sound was pretty good as well, just from the device itself. We stood on the table earlier on, started playing it, turned the volume up, and
it punches out. I mean, again, it's one of those. It's like, if anything with sound, it's what the ambient sound is around you. So I mean, you're not going to go to a construction site and be able to enjoy it to its fullest oral musings, but
But do you know what? I still think it's better than your average smartphone.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that they have got the stereo speakers, and it's not just the little crappy bar at the bottom. It's 2 little crappy bars at the bottom, but it's not gonna blow a window out, but it's good enough for it's needed.
One thing that I did, and slightly on a little bit of a tangent here, but one thing that I did notice was, in all the adverts they've got that thing about standing outside, and the back stand itself. Flimsy as hell. I mean, super flimsy.
I'd have liked to have seen it a bit wider.
I'd like to see it wider. I'd like to see it a lot stronger as well. I mean, as in, they actually have a thing when you go to the GUI on the main, the graphical user interface, and you're having a look at the sort of like news section, and it talks about like tragedy with the Switch, where somebody's like had the kickstand out and tried to dock it and just like break it off, and the customer service / helpful advice Amelia kind of says, don't worry, it's happened to me loads. Really, has it? You're from Nintendo, why didn't you design it out then? But it's fine, just clip it back in again. It's like, oh guys, it sounds like you're trying to walk your way around a design failure there. But
I wouldn't necessarily call it a design failure. I think it's a case of
how to make more money on the next one,
anticipating people, because again, it's going to be they hope a complete range of people using it, so all ages. And you can ask any parent gamer, how many times have you found random things in the disc tray of said or whatever console you want to talk
now.
Yeah, basically, I was reading one. There was a guy in his PlayStation 4, it wouldn't accept a disc. He knew there was a disc in there, he couldn't get the disc out, and it turns out there was a 3DS game in there as well. Good on him. Good on the little champ. So I can appreciate why they've tried to do it, but I think it's almost like the best that they could, well, not necessarily the best they could do, the best they were prepared to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that takes too much thought and time away from something else, maybe.
Well, you say that, but I to a certain extent, I sit there and think, well, it really feels like they put a lot of time into the Switch, as in that rectangular shape with the 2 Joy-Cons attached to it. They put a lot of time and energy into that. But things like, for example, the dock is really bare bones. I mean, super bare bones. It's got a power input. It's got 2 normal, as in USB 2s, 2 normal USBs, And then in the back it's got USB 3, which is obviously good, so you can put a hard drive on it, I assume, at some point and use it like that. I don't know. I'm assuming that's why they put it in there. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Really. There's no Ethernet port, you know, so there's no connect. It's only wireless, you know. No,
obviously there is a Ethernet adapter, which is sold separately. Yeah,
no doubt. But you know, they kept it really, really simple. You drop the thing in it, and it puts on the screen. All it is literally a HDMI connector.
Although you was showing off to me earlier, wasn't it? And look how quick fire it is, and it's just really simple, and it's just like dock.
So typical technology.
Pick it up, dock.
Yeah, I would say it's technology is shy. The second you try and show somebody something, and every time I've used the Switch, I've literally just dunked it into. I mean, you just let it go. It sits lightly in the cradle and just goes dink and comes up on the screen about 3 to 5 seconds later. It's not as instant as they made out about it. But when I went to show you, it just went, actually, this is the time I'm not going to work. I've worked every other time immaculately, but this time, no.
It's to sort of use like an Inside Out reference, where if there was a team of beings controlling it, they're like, watch this. He's got his mate round. We're going to make him look a right dick.
It happens with everything. Siri, and you know, Xbox, you know, anything like that.
Well, we've been recording before, haven't we? We've just said the words Xbox One.
Yeah.
And then TV pops up.
Yeah, it goes ding.
I'm here.
Do you want to buy something from the store? Yeah. So you know, from the dock was pernickety that time. It's really really plasticky.
I'm a bit disappointed that there isn't anything that brings to the table, because
it does HDMI and that's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just a pass through. It's just an output, isn't it?
The only thing I would give it is it's the location to charge your shit. Yeah. So they've given it 3 USBs, which is 2 for your controllers on the outside and the USB 3 inside for something else.
Yeah.
So I will give them that and that only. But yeah, it's really bare bones.
It leads me to think though that maybe 18 months that it's going to be a case of we need more memory, we need something else, blah blah blah.
Are we going to then dock?
Yeah, and I think even if it's a case of to get it because it's supposed to run a lot nicer, like Zelda's supposed to run a lot nicer in portable mode. And it's the potential of then having to push it out at 1080 that it kind of gets a bit janky.
It does, yes.
So then it might be a case of like almost like a PlayStation Pro, where here's the little box to make it work better in TV mode.
Yeah, it's like the memory expansion on the 64. Yeah, I mean, there seems to be a lot of, hey, there's an attachment coming your way, or there's something. I mean, you look at just what they've sold in it, like the grip, for example. I mean, it's functional.
But it's all it is. It's just the dog bone.
It's just basically a place to hold your
controllers. Yeah.
I mean, the bit which really niggled me is that it doesn't charge them.
No.
As in, you can't plug anything into it and charge them. It just holds them. You can buy a charging one, but that's separate.
Yeah.
And when you look at the two, the only difference is, okay, one's got a slightly see-through plastic and the other one hasn't. But if you put that aside, one has got a charging port
and a battery.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah, I think that's the... It does seem a bit nickel and dimey with the accessories. Really does.
I mean, the Pro Controller.
Yeah.
How much? £65 for the Pro Controller? And for me personally, when I looked at it, it looked like a bit of a, hey, this is done by Mad Cat sort of thing.
It has got very... although it's the look of it, and the one thing that really surprised me was the size of the buttons on it. Because you go from one real extreme to the other, because they're almost like wow,
big button presses.
That reminds me of like when I was 8 years old playing on a SNES. Kind of the size difference.
The only thing which came to mind when I first saw it, and I looked at, because the D-pad's one solid bit of plastic that's not broken up like it should be. The big buttons are quite heavy on it. It's got motion control in it, but to my knowledge, so far, I've experienced no rumble from it.
Yeah.
Which I think is a big mistake. But overall, it was a bit like Speak and Spell, Fisher-Price, my first controller. You know, like, Mummy, wow, I'm a big boy now. You know, it was just, it just stunk of not a pro controller, but actually hey, you need a controller, here's a £65 controller.
Yeah, that's the only thing, because I would say that is kind of an essential purchase.
It is.
For when you're at home.
Yeah, without a doubt. Battery life's excellent, and it's got the rechargeable battery built into it. So from that point of view, like a Sony one.
Yeah, because we was talking about last week, wasn't it? The difference in price between the Sony and the Microsoft one. The one thing I negated to remember is the fact that you've got to buy the play and charge kit for the Xbox. Mm-hmm. So that's essentially another £17-18 on top. So it still works out at just under 70 quid. Mm-hmm. So in terms of that, it's on par with the Pro controller.
Yeah, except for the Pro controller doesn't come with battery.
Rumbles.
So you're like, yeah. It's. I mean, the Xbox Pro is like the Elite. It's just ridiculous. It's like,
that one. Yeah,
that's big money.
Yeah, that's. Do I want 3 games or do I want a controller?
Best be a bloody good controller. No, it's exactly the same. We've just made it better. But the cable is pretty good. But anyway, we digress. We're straight off the target. So getting back onto it a little bit, just touching on that connectivity piece for 1 second. Only wireless, is that... I mean, I know you can get your USB to Ethernet.
Yeah.
But is that a good way to go? I mean, there are a lot of, I want it hardcore connected sort of people.
Well, I think that for the areas that Nintendo are going for, I think because they're obviously with the LAN parties and that kind of thing, and you can pick it up, and I think wireless, I mean, I couldn't tell you which bandwidths that they are going, that they do allow, but I think it's...
Don't get me wrong, wireless is great,
yeah.
But this is going to be an online game for competitive play. There's people out there going to want to plug something in.
Yeah, but then again, it's that kind of thing that if you really, really want it, and if you really, really need it, then you'll pay
on the wrong console.
But you'll buy it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, it goes back to that nickel and dime situation.
Yeah, very much so. And, Nintendo are very good at doing bare bones shit.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind so much if they had, here's the bare bones pack, but like the Microsoft did with the 360 originally. So you can get one without a hard drive and one with a hard drive and all of that bollocks. But you've got a bare bones, here's your Joy-Cons, your grip, and your Switch, off you go.
Yeah.
And then here's your charge grip one, here's your Ethernet cable, sort of more of your hardcore.
But it's weird because I feel like in the pack that you get, and it is, quite a petite little box that it comes in, it is super small, and they've really taken a leaf out of Apple's...
Environmentally friendly, I suppose.
Well, that's one way to put it.
As much as you can be.
Thrifty as fuck is the word that I would use. But either way, in there you get your 2 Joy-Cons, you get your screen, you get the normal grip, just no charging capacity on it, you get HDMI and a power source.
Do you get the...
and you get the 2 shoulder...
The Joy-Con shoulder.
Yeah, and you get 2 of those, which wasn't clear to me, but you do, that's good. Anyway, so you've got enough in there to take it on the go, and you've got enough there to sit back from it and play comfortably as if it was a controller.
Yeah.
And from that point of view, I think it's not a bad little package.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a little bit pricey at $280.
Yeah, I think I would have to kind of agree with you on that one.
One thing I will give them the juice though is, I said it in last week's podcast. I really wanted them to do something clean and slick and usable.
Yeah.
And the GUI is exactly that. It's super bare bones.
I think though, with the
choking of the Wii,
the limited power of it, it needs to be just really bam.
It's like a DS effectively.
I did think of that, the original and the DSi, that sort of look.
But me as a gamer, all I'm interested in is give me access to the store. So if there's something I can go and buy it, and that I want, and I can go and buy it, or just let me get into my game and play it. I don't need all the shit in between. And they do a really good job at just saying, yes, there's news and there's stuff that can come up, and when you immediately turn on the screen, yes, you get an advert on 1/3 of it, and that's a little bit taking the piss, but it's mostly just hey, did you accidentally press the button, or did you want to go to the menu? And if you do press, a button to acknowledge, take me to the menu, it's super clean. There's not a lot going on, and that's good.
It is. It's like, gets very to the point. I do like that. But I do like the way that they've handled the advert. It's not like, here's an advert, get rid of that screen, then you can click the button to go to the home screen. It's just, no, there's home, or, oh, have you seen this is out?
Yeah, it's on the left of the screen,
Yeah.
it's kind of out of the way, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, loading times for stuff wasn't too bad either.
No, I mean, I think you're now sort of talking that, let's be honest, it's a glorified NVIDIA Shield, basically.
Yeah.
So anything performance-wise for that you're going to look at, and again you've got stuff like the game of like Modern Warfare rip-off. I can't remember what they're called now, but Frontline Commando or whatever it is. Yeah. And you look at those, you look at those kind of load times, and they're pretty much standard sort of console.
I mean, for opening up a sandbox game, which we'll get on to in a bit about its looks, but isn't an ugly game, it loaded it in what I would deem a reasonable period of time. I didn't feel like it lasted too long. I didn't feel like it was super quick. It just did it.
I liked the design of the screen though, because obviously you was telling me that it starts completely empty, and then obviously as you've gone through and achieved stuff, it reflects your actions and your
the loading screen on Zelda. Yeah.
But then you still got all the little tips and stuff, and it looked really well presented.
Yeah, I mean, just generally loading for the Switch is not too much of a pick, I don't think. I mean, it's not super quick, but it is.
No, it's not what I remember the benefits of cartridge.
Yeah, definitely not.
Where it was just plug it in, click, bing.
Yeah, Nintendo screen, start screen, menu,
press start,
go. Yeah, it is a bit like okay, and the cartridges are pretty weird, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're very, very small, really long connection points on the back. Obviously trying to shift a lot of data over these strips. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not proficient enough.
Maybe just, I don't know. But
it's magic.
Yeah, magic.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe it's my copy of Breath of the Wild, but super light, super plasticky, really tinny feeling, something rattling inside, just all a bit like, yeah. Didn't feel good quality.
I remember cartridges of old being like that though.
But, well, not NES ones.
No, that was the actual NES itself was a bit rattly.
Yeah.
But no, I think I've had DS games where it was like that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, hopefully, if it does start getting a bit flaky, then it's a case of game. Where's my replacement, motherfuckers?
I'd say overall, for the Switch, my impressions was it's a pretty slick device in itself. When you're actually holding the screen with the Joy-Cons attached, it's a pretty slick device.
Yeah.
I think it's two parts for me. I think that device is very cool, and everything else is in a very separate field of being very bare bones, very overpriced.
Very sort of, and you may feel a pinch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or yes, sir, may I have another?
It's definitely it's definitely not the Sony experience, where you buy something, you're like, holy shit, they spent a lot of money designing this. Like even like everything feels finished.
Other than the memory cards, the Vita, like you feel like this is a complete solid.
This is
nice,
crammed with high end tech, and I know I've just spent a fortune on it, but I think so have Sony at the same time.
Yeah, we've both lost money on this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And long may it continue. But yeah, I mean, so overall, that was pretty good.
One thing, sorry to just quickly interrupt. I do like the fact that like the problem with most Nintendo stuff is you look at it, and like you were alluding to earlier, is my first games console. It doesn't have that air about it.
The actual device, the actual Switch doesn't. No, it feels quite high-endy, I think, for me, quite techy.
Yeah, that's it. It looks like you say, it's not something you'd be embarrassed about getting out on the train. Really, that's exactly what it's all about.
Yeah.
Like even though the 3DS is the most amazing portable out there with all of its features,
to the game, kids,
it's still very much. You don't see many people like on trains and buses and planes playing their 3DS.
Well, I've said it a few times before, but video games are the anti-pussy of anything. If there's anything which will stop you looking good in front of anybody else, break out a games console. They'll immediately just be like, nah. But I must admit, if I had to break out a games console, I would like to break the Switch out, because It looks like a cool tablet-esque thing.
I do love the idea though that you're, so like say, you're playing snipper clips and it goes, oh, what's that you're playing? Do you want to play?
Yeah, I'd never hand my Joy-Cons to anybody else.
No, I know, but you could.
I
I like the idea of it. And
I like the idea.
No, but to be fair, yeah, you've got some like 8, 9, 10 out of 10 lady there goes, oh, what's that? You go, yeah, this is going to cost me 45 quid.
Here's my wallet.
Yeah,
here's
that's
my,
it.
Yeah, okay.
So you definitely would. You're telling me.
Overall, the attaching paraphernalia.
Well,
what were your thoughts on all those gubbins that you've seen?
Oh, it sickens me. But I'm a tight ass.
Well, it amazes me it's like cheap and overpriced at the same time.
Yeah.
They feel cheap, but they are overpriced.
Yeah. But hopefully that they look cheap, but they are still somewhat rugged.
I've got a feeling the Pro controllers are still going to be pretty good. I've got a feeling like the battery life's really solid on it, and it will be the device that I use a lot.
Well, I think it's one of those, isn't it? It's to sort of more appease the third party fare, because it's exactly the same as every other setup for every other controller out there.
Yeah, you're right.
Here's your 2 full face buttons, your 2 analogs click, you've
2
got
shoulders.
your D-pad, your 4 shoulder buttons.
No, fuck off.
Yeah, that's it. So it's very much nickel and diamond. Again, I keep repeating that, but I've come to expect that from all video games, well, just all companies.
Yeah, and I don't feel that way so much with Microsoft. I find that it's just generally like, fuck, this is expensive, but I can see what you're pouring your money into.
Yeah.
Sony, I feel kind of the same, to the extent that I know they've definitely spent a lot on it, but I'm never going to use it.
Microsoft and Sony, they've gone into a position where they're like, right, we'll take the hit. We want to give you a great product at a good price. Because if we was to charge you money what other investors would want to charge you, you wouldn't be buying it.
Yeah,
PlayStation 3.
£800.
So yeah, I can see why there's that sort of bitterness and animosity from Nintendo's side, because Nintendo are like, fuck you, mate. We've fucking spent ages. We want effort and
they
to be reflected.
They know they're going to die out in the software realm because they're never going to release anything.
No.
So they're like, we need to make money on every console we release.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's just like, $9 billion in the billion yen or whatever it is in the bank. All right, we can sit back on our laurels for a bit.
They're doing all right. So, final impressions overall?
I was just going to ask you, are you happy with the purchase? Does it feel worth the money you've spent?
I think I could sum that up with just the fact that I'm playing Zelda on its best running, as good... Man down.
Excuse me.
Looking as good as it possibly can.
Yeah.
And for me, that's worth it because of Zelda. And that is a very nice segue onto
moving on to Zelda
Breath of the Wild. Yeah, and spoilers.
Are we gonna touch upon your last minute dash?
Very quickly, not to bore the people at home. But
you finally, because we didn't talk about your gaming
70 hours. 70 hours in Skyward Sword.
You were so optimistic last week, and I kind of shot you in the foot a bit.
Yeah, you're like, hey, don't worry, buddy. You're so close now. Why don't you just take a little break? You still got a week, guy. So take a little break, play some Gears, which I did for one evening, and that evening cost me almost getting my Switch on time, actually.
Luckily, you were reliant on the
goodwill.
Yeah, that's
of other human beings, which
it's never a good position to be in.
So what happened was I was caning my way through Skyward Sword, and that game is fucking massive. I mean, it's big, really big. And I got to the final boss, Girahim, and obviously
you got to what you thought was, oh right, I'm ready to face the boss. Oh no, I've got to collect this.
Yeah.
I'm ready to face the boss. Oh no, wait a minute, if you got this, I'm ready to face the boss. Oh, I still need some milk. Could you pop to the shop for me?
Yeah, so it was a lot like that. And don't get me wrong, I actually have to say, fair play to Nintendo for just making that game as massive as it is, because it's worth it. Play that game. By the end of it, with the motion controls, I was at one with that thing.
Well, I think we'll see a HD remaster. Yeah, it would work, because it's a Wii game, isn't it?
Yeah,
so I think we'll see a re-release on that for the Switch.
Yeah, amazing game. But so I came here to get it done, got to the final boss, Girahim. I was due to go down to midnight launch to get my console. That was obviously at 12, obviously. I left it until about 1:30 because I thought, do you know what? There's always going to be a queue.
I'm not there early enough to be at the front of the queue, so I may as well just sit at the wait here and
arrive when the last 3 people are walking up, Got down there at 1:45. Shop was closed. There was no customers about. There's nobody in the shop.
No!
So
they're in the middle of a car park with the rain pouring down on you.
You got it.
Yeah.
Like some desperate individual, I'm there banging on the glass. Going, Luckily, some kind individual in-game came out and said, God, this guy's a crackhead, and then realised actually I had a receipt for a prepaid console and threw my shit at me.
And luckily it's already paid, so if you were lucky on that, if you'd have only pre-ordered...
I know, yeah.
He would have been like, Tills are off, buddy.
Sorry, buddy.
Fuck you.
So, collected all that crap, got back here, plugged it in, ready for some ridiculous hefty Nintendo update, and it wasn't. So, that was pretty cool. Finished off Skyward Sword. Epic game. Turned on Breath of the Wild.
Did you sort of think, right, I've done Skyward, here's my fucking treat, I can actually start it, and did it get to a point where it's like, I've started it, it's just like, no, fuck it, I've got to go to bed.
I had to get through the intro and just get the impression of what it looked like, because Skyward Sword's amazing, but it is rough as old boots, because it is a Wii game, and pixels ain't the word. I mean, it's like playing Link to the Past.
Have you got the cables you can get for the Wii? No, because of course you're running through the so it was looking as good as it could possibly.
Yeah, HDMI, and it was a horrible experience. But obviously, moving on to Breath of the Wild, it was pretty, really, really pretty. But let's give a little bit of an idea of how we got there, because Skyward Sword, right at the beginning of the Historia, and then this Breath of the Wild is set like...
It looks to be the sort of latest.
The real tail end of it. And specifically, it's like 10,000 years after the events of Skyward Sword. So it's like a long, long, long way away. And as you without going into too much detail, as you go around, the NPCs keep making reference to you falling 100 years before, and you wake up, typical Link, wakes up in sort of a rejuvenation chamber, which he's been in for 100 years, put in there by Zelda, and you're coming back from basically getting your ass whooped. So we get an idea of the timeline sits after Ocarina of Time, but the failed timeline, the Link getting shut down timeline. Which is really interesting, man. I was like properly enthralled.
Because because it's not the Link from Ocarina, is it? Obviously, it's obviously in that timeline. So obviously, it's using the Calamity Ganon.
You got it, yeah. Which always makes me think Calamity Ganon, Calamity Jane. I really want him to be all clumsy, like go hoi hoi hoi. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely way into the future.
But you can obviously get with the various sort of peoples and tribes. Obviously, you've got the Sheiks,
Zoras, you've got the Gorons,
and obviously
Gerudas.
With the chamber that you say, and obviously it's all Sheik tech.
Yeah, exactly that.
Seeker tech.
Yeah, exactly. I've always gone Sheik. I never know whether it's Sheik or Seeker, but Sheik. For me,
when if you're worried about pronunciation and correctness,
never are, especially when it comes to people's names. But so after you wake up in that little chamber, you step outside, and that's the first opportunity you get to see the beauty that is Breath of the Wild, and wowzers. Pretty game.
So obviously it brings us nicely onto talking about the graphics.
Pretty game. Just everything is... It's next generational. It's really something.
Yeah. I think the thing that struck me was... I remember reading this years ago, they were saying like the PlayStation 3, it would probably be a couple of generations before you saw like Pixar-esque video games.
Yeah.
Like, so I can't believe that this is a game, and it's almost kind of that flavour to it, isn't it? You can still see it is obviously you've got the UI and all of that, and there is somewhat lacking in power, but I mean, it does look phenomenal.
Yeah, it looks really good. For me, I think it's got that whole Wind Waker upgrade going on.
Yeah, it's very much a cross between, like we've referenced it before, the old 2000 Space World Devi, when, see, this was just after Ocarina. Majora's Mask would have been the last one I think they made, and everyone was excited for the GameCube, and they showed this real sort of high definition, high polygon boss fight, and that's what everyone. It kind of seems like it's cross between the two, and it's got it's not that Wind Waker childlike sort of Saturday morning cartoon look. It's very much more of an anime Ghibli sort of look.
Yeah, and you know, I think there is a lot more of a Japanesey feel to this game than previous ones. I think they have gone to that anime place a little bit more in this one.
But I think that's a good thing, though. I mean, I do love the old anime. It allows a really distinctive style.
It's definitely got a AAA feel to it, which has come from a more imbued and produced kind of.
Reiterated as we've watched it interviews in the past with Anuma. It's just a case of, let's build this massive fucking world, and then we'll keep adding stuff until we're told to stop doing it. Take your hands off the keyboard, put your hands on your head, and get the fuck out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how they work.
Can we do DLC? Yeah, okay, you can do DLC, but just stop it.
Finish the map first. Yeah,
we need to go gold. Stop it.
Well, talking of the map, it's not small.
No, I was having a little investigation earlier. I actually did some research.
Good work.
Reportedly, this was done late last year, when someone had talked to some people. They'd managed to acquire a picture of the map from Nintendo, and then they've used some algorithm. Well, they haven't. They've just used some maths to work out that it's roughly 360 kilometers. Squared, so that works out on a map of 19 kilometers by 19 kilometers. So that's quite considerable. But comparing it to some other open world games,
I mean, like, you know, kilometers is good, but I mean, what do the other ones look like?
We've got GTA 5 is 81 square kilometers.
And how big was Breath of the Wild?
360.
Wowzers, because GTA does not feel small.
No, and the fact is, you can get across planes, choppers, bikes, cars. You can walk it if necessary. So yeah, it's a considerable size.
So any other games in comparison?
Yeah, it's also bigger than The Witcher 3, which is 137 kilometers squared.
That is a big game.
Yeah, but it does fall slightly short of Just Cause 3.
Thank God.
Which is not much bigger. It only 400 kilometers.
Yeah, I mean, I started off in the starting area, should we say?
Yeah.
That in itself, I thought, this is actually could be the basis of the map.
Well, that area itself is bigger than all of the previous Zeldas.
Yeah,
I think
it's definitely. It felt, if you took all of Skyward Sword and sewed it all together without any of the getting to the map areas, bits in between, it felt about that sort of size. Yeah. And then when I left it, I realised that was one very, very, very small region of about 8 to 10 other regions, which were like vastly bigger. And I was like, holy shit balls, this thing's big.
I think it's going to be roughly, it's about 26 kilometres corner to corner.
It's massive. I mean, traversing that is going to take a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, how is it you can get about? Because obviously I know that you can get horses.
Yeah,
is there any other forms of transport?
Well, you've got your paraglider, but very quickly on the horses are assholes.
Yeah.
Just generally they're dicks. Miyamoto, I think, specifically went out of his way to say, we've really worked on the horse AI to make sure that you can battle whilst riding. It's quite intelligent. It will, move its way. It won't just run into a tree. Bollocks. I would say they are the hardest horses that I've ever tried driving. Yeah, I'm driving this horse on any game. It just no.
It's a shame
No.
because Twilight Princess wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't in comparison to. But I mean, maybe I just haven't built up my affiliation with my horse yet. But
is there like some relationship system?
you got to keep patting the shit out of that thing.
Yeah,
and pat it I will. But yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. They're not. It's very cool, but I just haven't quite got it yet.
it might be a case of then it's like said it might not have twigged or you may not have achieved the requisite amount of pats.
I'm not at unity with my steed yet.
No,
But so it leaves you with other things like the paraglider, which is basically jump off and you've got a kite that you can just hang off of and float around.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable, really, really cool. You use it a lot to just get around quicker. There's lots of climbing up and jumping off going on.
Yeah. Cool. That's what you want. I think it's an interesting thing that it's great having 360 kilometers of space, but if you haven't got any verticality, if it's all flat, then it's very dull.
Yeah, there's a great variety in the maps, but that does lead to the fact that you've got to get around it. And when Link comes out of that cryo chamber or stasis chamber or whatever it is, man, he is a pussy. You've got your stamina bar from Skyward Sword still, but this time it's expandable, so you can put like another ring around the outside of it. If you that means when you first start off, your stamina is at the lowest it will ever be. And to move around, Link is out of shape. I mean, that boy's got to get some...
Well, to be fair, he's been sat there for 100 years. I mean, there is going to be a fair bit of... what is it they call it? Atrophy.
I would just call it laziness. I think he's not got enough hustle. So, you
Stern but fair.
Harsh, yeah. But you've got to crack on with obviously building that up because, like stamina is, to me, almost more attractive than expanding the hearts because you get the option of one of the two. Stamina all the way, just to allow me to get around a lot quicker. It's huge, it's big. Game design side of it, it's a bit more... It's nothing like Skyward Sword.
Well, I was going to say, it's almost the polar opposite, isn't it? Because... I mean, I was talking to you about that earlier when we were discussing it and writing our notes, but I was saying that Skyward Sword has obviously been criticised for being too almost direct and not free enough and open enough. Yeah. I mean, obviously you have got the ability and you've got all of the side quests, but it does seem very much here's point A via B to C. So
the most, I mean, I know Link to the Past was slightly different, that you could just jump in there and get your ass whipped by Ganon straight away, but generally as an overall rule of thumb, it's progressively build your character to be tough enough to dick him at the end.
Yeah.
And Skyward Sword did make you go through those hoops. You could do it, there were bits where you can say this one first or that one first, but the bottom line is you're doing them all. This feels a lot more organic as to how it grows. There is no hand-holding with this game.
No.
I mean, it is hardcore. It's a much more hardcore Zelda, this.
Well, there's obviously the survival elements.
Well, you've got... I mean,
the durability element.
Nobody shows you how to cook. Nobody shows you, how to... you get sort of bits and pieces like, this is your map and you can put a set marker here. But when you get to a bit and it's Baltically freezing cold and the second you step into it, Link starts dying from freezing, you're like, how do I sort this out? And then you talk to somebody who's like, well, we make this recipe around here, but it doesn't tell you it cures this or does that. You're like, chili peppers with this and that stamina... mix all that up and I've got
a stew that will keep me
fend
warm.
off the heat for a period of time. Or there's another means where you could maybe get the warm doublet and just put that on and that reduces your
or increases your body temperature and susceptibility to the cold.
Yeah, exactly that.
I did like the one that you were telling me earlier, that you were in obviously the Goron's place, and obviously it's volcanoes and fire all around and heat, and obviously you're basically got to the point where you're setting on fire. But instead of sort of, I'll put this natty jacket on that will keep me nice and chilly.
Well, it was a endurance trial. So basically they said, here's the first bit and you're going to get hot. Can you endure it? And then, which was a slow bleed of your life. And after about 15 seconds, you're out. And the second one was like, this gets really hot now to the point where you're actually going to set a light. And I was like,
burn, Link, burn.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some way I should be able to do this by getting some, like in the last game, earrings which fend off the heat or something. But in this instance, I'm just going to let him writhe in pain for
And eat lots of apples.
and keep eating apples and shit. And it was brutal.
Yeah.
It's just rolling around like, ah! But it's for your own good, Link.
You get me that shield.
Yeah.
You get me that shield.
So it's very organic, this game, and
Well, I
it
think
feels like a lot more of a mature version of Zelda.
I did see a good comment that somewhat criticising Nintendo, but it said they said it seems that a lot of people at Nintendo have been perusing Steam Greenlight, because obviously there's been a wave and advent of survival games,
Right.
and obviously a lot of big games that are very popular on Steam Greenlight and early access are games with these kind of elements and mechanics.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely taken a lot from other worlds, but I keep prattling on about this, but it feels like they've just evolved it. It's like they've evolved the stamina bar, they've evolved the how you gain your life, and how you can trade in hearts for stamina or vice versa.
Oh right.
So they even things like, go here, collect it and get a bomb bag. Go here and collect this, get a bow and arrow. Go here. So right at the beginning of the game, first 4 shrines, it's here's your bombs, here's your magnet ability, here's your cryo ability, here's your time freezing ability. Go.
Yeah.
And then you use those tools for the whole game to work out your way around all these other shrines and use it in different, more devious ways each time.
I think this is the great thing about how they've built this one. Because I think it's been a case more traditionally in Nintendo approaches to say, here's a really cool, interesting, fun prototype. How can we implement this into a game? And we'll build a story around it. Like obviously, A Link to the Past would have been the 2 worlds mechanic, and yeah, it's all of these cool things. But this one, it seems that okay, we're going to build the world. Well, obviously, story's been kind of shoehorned in again, but it does with most games. But the actual elements themselves, and it's a case of, here is the story, but go off and have your own adventures. Yeah, here's the tools.
I like the way they've just gone, here's a mature version of Zelda, which we're going to give you the sandbox, we're going to give you the tools, just as you said then, and you are going to work it out. Yeah. I mean, that is how you're going to get through this. You're going to work it out. I started the first part of the game on a shrine. There's a pool of water next to it. Link, if he even swims, he's using stamina, and he gets eaten up really quickly. Can't go below the water. As soon as you run out of stamina, you drown. There's a treasure chest, which is probably just below breathing height.
It's always the way.
And you're like, oh. And then after I've done a couple of shrines, I thought, hold it, wait, I picked up that magnet ability. Go back, pick it up out of the water, put it down. It's like, And, there is that, there was no stone sat by the side there going, he who masters the ability of this could do that, levitate
like you
treasures.
Say, the traditional Zelda signposts.
None of it, No. And I really, really liked that. There was a shrine puzzle earlier on where you have 2 bits of water pouring onto a cube, which has a torch on every side of the cube, and you have to find a way to rotate it all to light all the torches without putting it through the water.
Wow,
which has come on both sides, and it was generally had me scratch my head for a second. I found a way around it, but it's
very much a traditional Zelda sort of puzzle setup, but without the traditional Zelda setup.
Well,
almost.
So I've hit what I would deem to be the first dungeon. You have...
Well, it's the biggest expanded shrine, basically.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the shrines aren't dungeons. No. They're really, really not. Everybody went, oh my god, look at all these shrines. What they are is they're like 2-room puzzles.
Yeah.
So you go in, you'll do a basic version of the puzzle, and then you'll do a complex version of the puzzle, and then that's where you get your spirit orb, collect 4 spirit orbs, get an upgrade to either heart or your stamina. So that's kind of the approach. So you're always looking for these shrines, but... they're really nice quick touches in, experience it, get out, and you're just going back to using that magic ability in a different way.
I think it's also, again, we're talking about the design and the mechanics, knowing that people are going to be, say, on the train and all of that. Right, it's something that you can quickly go and blast out a shrine. Yeah, and you sat there and it's half an hour, maybe 20 minutes. Yeah. Right, here's my stop. I can stop it here. I think they've really put a lot of thought into, like you say, the design in how to utilise the pick up and play sort of quick bursts of gameplay, but then also if you want to, I found the dungeon, I'll save that. When I get him, I'll fucking smash that out.
Sell it, yeah.
So you can actually sit down there in front of your telly with your Coke or whatever and fucking have a good sort of free...
drugs you do.
Yeah, that's it. But other drugs are available.
Yeah. But I mean, it works. It works in that sense for those sort of, bite-sized little chunks.
And even just the fun as well that you can have, because I remember seeing some of the piss-abouts when they showed it off in June last year at E3. And some guy, not been told, he's just found a plank, he's moved a plank over a rock to create a pivot, and then he's found a really big rock, or big fucking lump of metal, obviously floated it up in the air, gone and stood on the other and created this giant seesaw and thrown himself 150 foot in the air.
So I did exactly that, and they do this right at the beginning of the game, the first shrine. They leave some metal boxes there's the chest, you get the magnet ability, and you come out and there's also a large metal plank. And it's like, fill your boots, boys.
Yeah.
That's blatantly what,
exactly.
Enuma and Miyamoto are saying there. And you can't help but, twang, like elastic band, flick yourself into the air.
Exactly, you've got to do it. It's one of these things, and I think the emergent gameplay that you'll see, I think, obviously, unfortunately, unless Nintendo sort out their YouTube policies, you could see some fucking brilliant Zelda stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
But again, it'll be from fans that aren't looking to make money.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo will take it all.
That's right.
So it's.
What about controls? You had a little blast on Breath of the Wild. You got into a little battle, didn't you?
It feels odd, because I'm sort of going back to I'm used to in the 3D sense of the Z lock, and you fucking hop about, and it all seems a lot. Like you say, a lot harder. I mean, the enemies themselves were a lot tougher because they just all weighed in. It's just like, right, you're jumping, you just worried just about him.
Yeah. I think you had 3 large moblins, which are like a very large goblin, and
they were beasts.
2 electro little choo-choo jelly things after you. And
didn't make it out.
No.
Well, I think after the 5th or 6th attempt, it was.
Let's go the other way.
Fuck this shit! I'm just going to climb up this rock face.
Yeah.
Because again, normally
you can't climb rock faces.
It's a difficult thing. Obviously, I haven't had the luxury of sort of starting from the get go and knowing the limitations. But it did feel odd. I will say that, obviously, with the new buttons and
the controls itself. I mean, I've just come from a completely different world where I had a nunchuck with an analog in it, and I was waving the other bit around, slashing and hacking my way through enemies. And I'll be honest with you, by the end of Skyward Sword, I missed that because I was fucking people up. But that aside, to go over to Breath of the Wild, where you have things like the D-pad and then multiple different weapons which break quickly, and you've got to chop and change between them, multiple different shields, multiple different bows, multiple different arrows. It's a bit overwhelming at first, and a jump button.
Yeah, that's the thing that threw me.
It's like, what? Okay, and also Nintendo have got this fucking thing where somebody needs to say to them, listen to the name of the podcast. It's the B button, not the A button.
Well, that's always been a Nintendo thing.
Yeah, but just get over it now. Because you're using a Pro Controller, you need the B button to be the button.
Because don't forget, it goes way back to the NES.
2 buttons.
Yeah, it's always the outside.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense.
On most Japanese games, you'll notice that most of the time the select button is the circle button, or the B button on an Xbox controller.
But then they put more buttons on the controller and went, we don't have to evolve. Never. We're going to do this to death. And they have. And, there's been so many times like, holy fucking shit, select that. No, not B, I'm back into the fight. No. So, yeah, I'm sure after I've done another 70 hours in this game, I'll have soaked it up. But right here, right now, it's pretty hard traversal for me, to be honest. But, yeah, all in all, it feels... It's a lot more of an intense fight when you're in it. Counters are pretty badass.
You don't feel as
in control,
superhuman.
No, without a doubt. I mean, I said right at the beginning, Link is a pussy when you start off, but
you are very much a struggling hero overcoming immense odds.
You are not a badass rugged knight in this. You are somebody who's going to stand in the background, stealth strike somebody, maybe bow and arrow to, headshots with bow and arrow. Super tasty. I'm really enjoying that. But yeah, you've got to pick your enemy fights and choose how you're going to take them out. I got into quite a few battles where I was like, man, I'm getting rinsed every time. I was like, if I climb up here and find this bomb arrow into that boulder, it will then fall down and land on that, and all that sort of shit.
Yeah, you've really got to use your surroundings.
Yeah, very much so. But, I really like it. All in all, it was just like a big AAA title to me. If I had to give final thoughts, for me personally, I would just say it's an essential experience for anybody who likes Zelda. If you want to see like the next big, this is Zelda, go and get involved. And to tell you how enamoured I am by this game, I got my Switch, I got Zelda. The first thing I did was rip open the box and take out the statue of
the plinth.
The plinth of the Master Sword, because I'm that bigger Zelda fan. So if you are that sort of person, I'd say
definitely worth going and dropping.
Get on it.
340 notes.
Or if you've got Wii U, 50 quid.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. What about yourself?
Well, I mean, overall for the system, I mean, it's difficult to gauge. Obviously on the brief time that I've had with it, but I'm optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, only had obviously a quick blast on Zelda, so I didn't really get to see much of the the touch screen functionality, because there's going to be obviously portable only games.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few things that I want to sort of see expanded upon with games, the Rumble and that kind of stuff. But no, I'm optimistic. I mean, having sort of felt it and feeling the Joy-Cons in my hand, that was the only one really that was the major issue for me, was the Joy-Cons. But no, they feel solid enough, and again, there'll be companies that will make grips for them if you really needed to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always that's going to be okay. But no, I mean, one final thought, I'm really tempted. I mean, I'm going to start saving, and then hopefully
keep the money in it one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully there's that. Someone just goes, here you are, I'm really pissed off with it. I'll pay you money to take it. But no, just by the time I've saved up, there should be some other games out. So,
yeah, the library needs more expanding.
Yeah, but again, though, the Nindies showcase, I don't know if I said about it earlier, but yeah, there's a lot of indie games coming, so there should be a good slew of weekly titles over the next few months.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So there we are, folks, another episode. This one, a bit of a monster Switch bonanza, if you will. But I think it was essential, we had to go through it.
Yeah.
So, from Angry Link, it's...
Adios, I've got to go start saving.
And for me, it's... I now need to start paying that back. Bye.